Hello everybody and welcome to week 7 of our Introduction to Literature class. Congratulations on getting your short story theme essay done. That's one of the major assignments in the class. There's 2 more and they're coming up when we get into the novel and then at the end of the course. But congratulations on getting that essay done. I'll be taking a look at them this week and hopefully provide feedback to you by the end of the week or early next week. We're in week 7. We have 5 weeks left of the class, and this week we're going to be leaving short stories and reading our play for this semester. It's one of my favorite plays. I was lucky enough to see it about 16 years ago in New York City, and it was just a really wonderful experience to be an audience member, and I've really enjoyed teaching it over the years. It is called Proof by David Auburn. This book came packaged with 40 short stories. You might have gotten that from the bookstore. If not, you can find a PDF copy in the week 7 notes. You can also, it's optional, but you can also listen to the play. I have a recording of LA Theater Works doing the play. And there's a few scenes that I'll post too from different performances. Plays are very similar to short stories. There's some minor differences. I want to go through those in this PowerPoint here and give you some theater terms that you're going to need for the reading assessment. And I hope you really enjoy this play. I got to say, it's got a wonderful character. It's a wonderful story. And I really, really enjoy following the main character's journey in this play, Catherine, to find out the truth of what she's been doing with her time and what she's been working on. So let's take a look here. First of all, some theater ideas. Drama is a Greek word. It's the oldest form of literature. It's a type of oral communication, of course. It literally means, from the Greek, to show a deed or an action. And I think as you're reading a play or seeing a play, a lot of it is action-oriented. A lot of the writing that playwrights do is to show an audience. And that's what makes it a kind of strange experience to read a play, although I think this play is very readable. Hitchcock, the great filmmaker, said that drama is life with the dull bits left out. And I think when you're reading Proof, you'll know that notice that there aren't too many dull bits. It's a play that has a plot that moves forward pretty quickly. The people involved in creating a play, well, there's a number of them. If you go to see a play, and I always have some students who do go to see plays, you're going to see the actors mainly. But there's a number of people beyond the actors that come together to put on a play. The director, of course, is one of the most important roles. That's the person who's giving you their interpretation of the play. They're highlighting things they want you to see. They're asking actors to act in a way that they read the play. You have producers who put up the money so the show can be produced. And then you have interesting technical people like set designers, costume designers, sound designers. You have stage techs who move things around on stage. They all come together too. So even though this play only has about 4 people, my guess is it would take about 40 people to actually put the show on. And that's a lot of people. We only get to see the actors, but there's a lot of people behind the stage. Now, they're similar to short stories in that you're going to have a plot. You're going to have themes. You're going to have characters. You're going to have settings. All those same things that you have in short stories, but you're also going to have the primary vehicle of information and characterization being dialogue. Plays are all about what people say. And that's an important thing to remember. We're going to learn about characters, about what they say, and we're going to learn about the plot by what people say. So watch out for dialogue being very important, and watch out for meaningful lines of dialogue, ones that resonate, ones that give us character information, ones that point at the interesting ideas in the play. A couple terms for you. The fourth wall is the invisible wall we as an audience get to see through when we're watching a play. Every once in a while you have a movie that breaks the fourth wall. Actors, characters acknowledge that there is an audience present. Certainly Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a famous example of this, but there are a number of other plays and films that break that fourth wall. Proof does not break the fourth wall. There's never a moment in this play where the actors or the characters acknowledge that there's an audience present. Blocking. That's how characters move around the stage, and it's interesting to just remember that even though this is written and the actors have their lines of dialogue, they also have to perform it, and they also have to move around the stage in a way that makes the most sense for the writing. That's all choreographed, that's all staged, and that's why it takes, on average, maybe 3-4 weeks to put on a play like this, probably even more, just for the actors to know their lines, but also know where they're going to be saying their lines and how they're going to interact with each other on the stage. Props are things you're going to need, physical items you're going to need for a scene. One of the more interesting ones in Act 1, Scene 1 is a champagne bottle that Catherine's drinking from. It pops up throughout that first scene. Usually props don't just make the scene work, but they also sometimes function as symbols. So again, look at that champagne bottle as you're reading it. It's got some interesting ideas. We get some details about it, and some of you who like symbols might want to find some meaning in it. Characterization are moments in a story where we find out who a character is. In a play, it's mainly going to be through dialogue. And dramatic irony, this is one I want you to remember. And there's a question on the quiz about this. Dramatic irony is a moment in a play or in a film where the audience has information that the characters don't. And I'm putting that in air quotes because, of course, actors know every line in this play. They've been working on it for months. But there are moments in stories where we, the audience, get information that the characters don't have. A classic one might be somebody sneaking into a house, hiding in a closet to surprise somebody, and then we see the other character walking into the house. We know as an audience that there's somebody in the closet. The other character doesn't know. They come and they open the closet. Surprise. Dramatic irony increases tension. It also engages the audience. Watch for moments of dramatic irony. And again, just as a hint, that champagne bottle in Act 1, Scene 1 provides an interesting moment of dramatic irony. Now, for this show, we got 4 characters. Catherine's the main character. She's 25 years old. She's been taking care of her father, Robert, who is a famous mathematician, high-level mathematics, college mathematics. He revolutionized the field 3 different times before he was 30, but in his 40s and 50s, he's mentally falling apart. He's patterned after the mathematician John Nash, who was the subject of the film A Beautiful Mind. So if you're familiar with that, you know he struggled with paranoid schizophrenia, bipolar issues, and mental stability was a major issue in his life. It's true for Robert as well. Claire is Robert's other daughter, so Claire and Catherine are sisters. Claire's been living in New York City. Robert and Catherine live in Chicago. Claire hasn't been there to take care of her father physically, but she's been providing financial support. And Hal is one of Robert's former students who's working on his dissertation with Robert. Dissertation is what you would work on after your master's work when you're working toward a PhD, and you usually get paired up with the professor at the school you're going to that has similar interests as you do. There's a number of pictures. I'm not going to show them, but you can find images of different productions. What I want you to think about are the various themes in this story. These are big ideas about life. One, and this is an interesting one, especially for my people who love math, that math can be beautiful. Bertrand Russell, famous mathematician and philosopher, said, "Mathematics, rightly viewed, possesses not only truth, but supreme beauty, a beauty cold and austere like that of sculpture, without appeal to any part of our weaker nature, without the gorgeous trappings of painting or music, yet sublimely pure and capable of a stern perfection such as only the greatest art can show. The generations have gradually created an ordered cosmos where pure thought can dwell in its natural home." And I think this idea is expressed throughout the play, that math can be as beautiful as a painting, as beautiful as a sculpture, as beautiful as a sunset. A number can be so fascinating and interesting to mathematicians that they see it as a work of art. I'll be honest with you, I don't see math that way. I struggle through math, but I know it's there. I have some friends who teach math, and they will tell me and swear up and down that math is a beautiful thing. We see this in the play as well, that math can be a thing of beauty. 2, second theme, is the divide between genius and insanity. And I think sometimes that divide is narrower than we might understand. Certainly geniuses, people who have very specialized knowledge in some field of the academy, understand things that the rest of us might struggle to understand. Brilliance can sometimes lead to isolation, which gets us to the third theme. But the ability to see the world in different ways also exists for people who struggle with mental illness. I've had moments with my math teacher friends where they're telling me about some wonderful math idea they've been thinking about, and it just goes right over my head. And I see for a second in their eyes a disappointment that I can't understand what they're talking about because they're so passionate about it. I think this is true for people sometimes with mental illness as well. And so we have, I think, a kind of collaboration in this play of somebody who's a genius, but also somebody who's struggling with their mental abilities. We have the loneliness and isolation of genius. I talked a little bit about that. Inheritance. This is a family story. What do we take away from our parents? What do we inherit physically from our parents? But also what do we inherit in terms of talent, in terms of dealing with other human relationships? How do our parents affect those roles and those forces in our life? And finally, this is a play about family. It's a play about sister rivalry and the expectation parents place on their kids. Finally, just some motifs to watch out for. This play talks a lot about being hot and being cold. And the house and inside the house parallels what's going on in the character's mind. When somebody's on fire, they're thinking through their ideas. They're coming up with new strategies, new solutions. And when they're cold, they're dead inside. That might play into different moments in the play. So watch out for hot and cold. Asleep and awake is throughout this play as well. Being asleep, being ignorant, being unable to understand a math concept, or being awake, being alive, being fully in control of your mind and of your decisions. And finally, I think what this play is getting at, certainly in the title, Proof, is the difference between proofs in math and proofs in life. Math is a wonderful world. It provides certainty. 1 plus 1 will always equal 2. That's certainty. In life, sometimes you don't get certainty like that. I think it's easy to prove that 1 and 1 equals 2. I think it's harder to prove things about relationships, things about emotions. And so David Albarn, I think, is kind of volleying back and forth in this play between the certainty of math and the uncertainty of knowing whether or not you did right by your father, or whether or not your father was proud of you. Those things are a little more uncertain. Math is a world of certainty, and the difference is exposed in this play. All right. I think that gets us through the ideas in the play. This is a really, really wonderful story. It's going to go quick. I know it's, I think in my copy, it's about almost 82, 83 pages. But I think you'll find that it reads really quick, and the plot is so interesting that it'll propel you forward. The quiz is over Act 1 and Act 2, and the discussion section is as well. We're moving through this towards our novel, which we'll be working on in the next couple weeks after that, and then poetry. But we are more than halfway through the class, and I hope you enjoy this wonderful story. As you're reading it, we're going to keep it in mind, because when we get into the novel, we'll be looking at the main character, Catherine, in Proof, and the main character in a novel read. All right, take care, everybody, and have a great week.